Welcome to Dr. Akmal's YouTube channel. He is a psychiatrist, author, and social commentator. Today we will be discussing the role of punishment in regards to the crime that was committed in Pakistan against the mother of three who was gang raped on the motorway. So let's start with what the public are saying and what is happening.
At this moment in time, there is almost unanimity that Pakistan should institute um, very draconian and public punishments for crimes of violence, sexual abuse, rape of children, and against women. Obviously, this will encompass everybody who's raped and gang raped and every child who's molested. And the point is that people are now wanting to see bodies hang.
So public executions.
The public executions. And people are also talking of castration. So initially people were thinking of whether the castration will be actually physical castration being done in public, as it used to be a few hundred years ago, when the kings used to have people hung, drawn, and quartered publicly. But obviously, with the passage of time, those punishments were stopped, and only those countries which exercise the death penalty, death is either given by lethal injection, hanging, electric chair, or sometimes by a firing squad. So, what Pakistan, which hasn't had public hanging since the martial law time of Zia Haq, um, people are beginning to demand that. And that has caused a degree of consternation in the minds of some. And if I may confess that I am also one of those, because I do not believe that public execution actually acts as a deterrent.
Okay, now let's just pause it there for a moment. So there's a couple of things that we need to ask you. So in the previous video, you mentioned about the society and the justice system, and execution is just a way. Oh well, just get rid of them because there's no faith that these people will be held accountable, etc. And you're getting rid of the trash, basically, for the lack of a better word. I mean, why should people suffer because the system is already broken? It will get rid of people that are actually causing them pain and committing crimes against them.
I'm not saying that execution should stop. I'm not saying that hanging should stop.
I mean, I personally am not for that kind of
The
punishment.
thing is that I, in certain cases, am for the death penalty, for murder, for premeditated, ruthless murder. I am for death penalty.
Okay.
For gang rape, for child rape, and all that, I am for death penalty.
Right.
But all I'm saying is that it will be more damaging, more brutalizing for society in general. So I'm not saying that don't give justice. I'm not saying don't give immediate justice. I'm not saying don't give justice to the one who deserves justice. The victim, by seeing the perpetrator hang, and the criminal to forfeit his life. I'm saying that that should be the case. But I have my absolute opposition, because what does a public execution, what does it do? It brutalizes the viewer. The human body becomes an entertainment. Another human being killed and executed in public is a public spectacle. It is not a deterrence. If it were a deterrence, it has been in practice for thousands of years. Why are there still hundreds and hundreds of beheadings in Saudi Arabia? Why are there hundreds and hundreds of hangings in Iran? Why are there so many executions in other places where they do such things? Why are there so many executions in China? They shoot people in the head in stadium. So what I'm trying to say is that if the basic concept of deterrence falls on its face, because when you have to do it again, it means you failed. So there is an absolute lie that is being perpetrated at this particular moment in time, that there was during Zia-ul Haq's time in Pakistan, they hanged 4 or 5 people, 5 young men, for the rape and murder of a young boy, 10-year-old boy called Papu.
Oh.
And they say that, I have my own conspiracy theory about it, being a Pakistani, but my feeling is that, and the false narrative is that after that, for so many years, no such thing happened. Absolute lie.
Well, then wasn't there a complete control of media too?
Absolute lie. Of
Yeah.
course, there was complete control on media.
Yeah.
But the statistics say, and I will find them because I have them somewhere, that hundreds and hundreds of children in the subsequent years, there was a lull of a few weeks, maybe a few months.
Yeah.
But after that, there were, constant stream of child kidnapping, child abuse, child rape, and murder.
And we'll put these facts in the information box.
Yeah.
On the references at
And
least.
the point is that people who want to have that are those who want quick fixes. They are very binary, dichotomous in the sense, oh, it's right and wrong, and death and life and so on. The important thing is that you need to understand that if you show your adolescents a human being hanging, but where's the guarantee?
Well, you desensitize them.
Sorry?
You'll desensitize them as well.
Of course, you completely desensitize the population.
Value of life.
Of value of life. That is why there are people wanting to watch these executions. And once upon a time in Europe and England and United States of America, it used to be a picnic to watch human beings being hanged.
Right. Okay, there was, and I've forgotten the source of this, but there's something in regards to, there's some writer, philosopher, I'm not sure, I'll clarify who that is in a bit, who said that if you want to control crimes and you want to have some sort of order within society, there has to be a fear of consequence. So what's the difference between that?
There is the consequence has to be for the perpetrator. The thing is that what you do is, like in England, you do not see too many gang rapes. You may have a few rapes and so on, but the thing is that the moment somebody's caught, he gets punished. And he gets sent to long sentences. And that is what the social retribution is. When you make your society desensitized to death, then people become less scared of death.
Right.
And then the other thing was that when they started giving life sentences in England for those who raped children or abused children, the murder of children increased because the perpetrators decided that the best way to get rid of all the evidence was to kill the child.
Wait, so execution is not right and life imprisonment and what?
No,
What's your point?
No. What I meant was that what you need to do is you need to have such a robust system that whoever gets caught gets his due punishment.
Right.
But you cannot be totally ignorant of the consequences of those
Right, I
punishments.
see.
So all I'm saying is that I'm not against death penalty, right?
I mean, you can be if you want. It's not
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Because once upon a time I was.
Okay.
I was against the death penalty, but I then came to this conclusion that there are some very evil people who do untold harm to other human beings. And the only way society can protect itself, the murderous psychopaths, the brutal terrorists, and so on, the only way society can protect itself is by eliminating them. So it is important to eliminate some of the mass murdering factors in society. But it is also important not to dehumanize society in such a way that the importance of life goes out of the window. And then people say, okay, well, that's the worst. Or some people may want to have that, last moment of glory.
Yeah, there's some real psychopaths
So
out
there
there.
are psychopaths say, okay, well, that's it. I'll go down, so I'll kill some people and I'll make my last speech on the gallows, as people used to do once upon a time. So the important thing is that you have to seriously think about it.
Mm.
The best way is to execute those who commit heinous murders or murders and are given death sentences, or gang rapes and child rapes and murders, that they should be executed in front of the friends and family of the victim. And their own loved ones should also be allowed to be there.
Like it is in America.
Like it is in the United States of America, where the execution is watched by those who are closely involved, the loved ones of the victim and the victim, if the victim is alive, and the loved ones of the perpetrator. So both parties know what happens if you commit a crime. Now, one word of warning. In a society which is totally feudal, where the powerful get away with anything and can get away with murder, right? The more powerful you are, the more you're likely to get away with murder.
Well, like you mentioned in the previous video about that
Exactly. In a society where torture is the norm in investigation, so how many innocent people are you going to be hanging?
And how many rich and powerful people are going to be hanging?
And how many rich and powerful people will be hanged? This will become once again the England of old and the France of old, hundreds of years ago.
But maybe doesn't every society have a cycle? Maybe they need to go through that.
No, the problem is that while we are in the 21st century, we cannot go through the medieval experiences, however medieval our mentalities may be.
Yeah, but another thing we've seen is that history repeats itself all the time.
People only repeat history, but that's the point. We only repeat history when you forget history,
which everyone does every few generations.
But the scenario is that you look at Europe.
Yeah,
exactly. An example. Look at Europe. Europe was in the First World War.
Yeah.
Within 3 decades, it was in another war.
Yeah.
But what did they do? They immediately created world bodies to prevent that. They immediately created forums to prevent that. The diplomacies, the nation states, the principles. Of course, they keep on breaking them every now and then. But the thing is, there are no world wars that have occurred.
Not in the traditional sense. I mean, if you look at it right now, so for example, you have these world bodies you're talking about. Within the space of 70 years, we're at the stage where now those people that were part of creating it are now destabilizing them or trying to get away from them and not following. Every country's got its own rules. The other thing is that we're not in world wars per se, as in First and Second World War, but look at what happened after certain world events. Majority of the countries have been affected by certain, unities and certain like continents. Majority of the world's in war. You're bombing them, you're droning, bombing them, these
Okay.
superficial.
So no, I think that we need to be clear about that.
Yeah.
The thing is that nobody's invading Africa. No European countries are invading Africa the way they used to. And nobody's executing and hanging 10% of Ghana and Gabon. And in Congo, no white colonial power is chopping hands of the black population. If it is being done, it is being done by their own tribal mentality and tribal internecine warfare, and like in the Hutu and the Tutsi scenario that occurred.
Yeah.
Now there is nobody who is attacking Europe, right? And there are no wars being fought within Europe. And the wars that were fought between Europe, between the Serbs and the Bosnians and the Serbs and the Kosovars, were crushed by forces within Europe or quasi-European, by NATO, etc., with the help of the United States of America. Now, there has been Cold War between Russia, the Soviet Union, and the rest. And at this moment, there is the beginnings of a coldish war between China and others. But at the same time, the relationships are extremely warm in terms of trade and commerce. Now, the situation is that those who remember and those who forget are constantly in a state of discussion. And that discussion is only possible when there is democracy. The problem with the previous wars was that single monarchs and dictators could decide that the whole nation will be thrown into the volcano of wars. Now here what you have is that single demagogues can even drive democracies into wars as well. But then there are inner and internal processes that can limit it, that can stop it, that can sort of control it to it of its scope. So what I'm trying to say is that unless you have fair systems in place, you cannot say that no punishment, that we should start, coming back to the hanging and coming back to death penalty, that we should start hanging people the way the French and the Europeans and the British used to do 300 years ago, 200 years ago, regardless. But one thing you must be aware, that very few rich people and the powerful people and very few dukes got hanged. And they were involved in all sorts of murder and debauchery and crimes.
Well, they led the people there, didn't they?
And it's basically the people who got hanged for stealing bread, or for being, I went to one of the hotels and there was this drawing and a news cutting of 100+ years ago, where two young boys were being taken to the gallows, and it said that the magistrate gave them death because throughout their short life they had been good for nothing, and they've been involved in thieving and all that. So basically that's, and once upon a time used to blind people if you stole somebody from the duke's or the lord's jungle or forest. If from his forest, if you killed a deer or something, the first thing would be your eyes will be put out.
They already do things like that in Pakistan.
But this is what I'm saying, that when you dehumanize people, when you use the system for the service of the rich and the powerful, it will only be the poor who will be dangling by the rope, and other people will be cheering, there won't be anybody who's powerful who will hang.
Right. With that, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, click like, subscribe, comment, and share. We will see you very soon. Thank you for watching.